house at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium on a sunny day in Annapolis, Maryland. It is our pleasure to welcome you to Air Force versus Navy. Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor, Ginny Dell. Navy's defense forced a 3-and-out on Air Force's opening possession. And now the Navy offense on third down led by Zach Abey. Very close. Fourth down coming, and Navy's first offensive possession will result in a punt.
Interestingly, a week ago in their game against Tulsa, Navy was 1 for 1 on fourth down. This is a very makeable situation here, but electing to punt and being conservative in a game where nerves are high very early on, this is probably the right decision here.
White handles the snap. Cleveland backing up. They'll let it bounce at the 5, and it is on the goal line. Touchback. They'll have it at the 20-yard line, so unable to get to it before it crosses that goal line. This is the 50th meeting between Air Force and Navy. They played since 1972, along with Army, for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy the last 20 years. Whoever wins between Air Force and Navy has won the Commander-in-Chief trophy, including last year when Air Force claimed the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Regardless of what's at stake around it, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy is without question the most important thing to either of these teams. And therefore, with the importance placed on that trophy and the significance of this game, I'm expecting that we're going to see the best of both of these teams all afternoon long.
Navy 4-0. Air Force 1-3 with Wilson and McVay in the backfield. Worthman with a shake. Toss on the edge. McVay loses the football. It's loose. Air Force appears to get back on top of it. Second down, Air Force football.
Again, Air Force electing to try and get the ball on the perimeter to McVay. McVay typically pretty sure-handed, but just coughs it up. Sean Williams, one of the leaders of this team, gets his head right on the football. Both of these coaching staffs talk to us about how important ball security is, particularly when possessions are at a premium with these styles of offense.
Air Force has only lost 2 fumbles. Both resulted in touchdowns versus New Mexico. Cleveland gets back on top of that one. Worthman on 2nd and 9. Toss again. McVay again. This time on the left side. Gets to the 25. Sails on the stop as we look at our Chick-fil-A starting lineups. Beginning with Arion Worthman, told the Gazette in Colorado Springs, "This is our Super Bowl. It is a must-win game for the Falcons."
And that means that he's going to have to be at his best, make great decisions, distribute the football, and play well with others. He has to get the other ball carriers involved here.
Second possession for Air Force, 3rd and 6.
He's got a pretty good arm, though. I think the passing game, particularly for Air Force, will show up sometime today.
Here's Worthman to throw. There's the shot, and it's complete near midfield. Marcus Bennett hauls it in as Worthman in the pass game, as you said, 24 yards.
That's really one of the things that he does a good job of. Bennett just goes up and snatches the football, beautifully thrown to the outside edge, and I think the little push off there at the end to create that separation just did the trick.
First down for either side. Back to the dive. That's Erickson to near the 50 as we take a look at the rest of the Falcons offense.
Well, I think Air Force again is going to have to get their playmakers involved. We've seen Timothy McVay early on. He's a speedy threat on the perimeter. He put the ball on the ground early on here. He has to do a better job because of those fumbles that showed up and were a problem a week ago. You can't do that against this Navy team. He has to be better.
Worthman from midfield. Handoff on the right side to Parker Wilson. Bringing up 3rd down as we look at the Navy defense.
Well, we've already seen this young man show up early, and that's Sean Williams, number 6. I think he's the best defensive player on this team. He's certainly a leader. He flies around to the football, and safeties, particularly when you're playing against a triple option offense, have to come up and make their presence felt in run-stopping situations. Navy's been aggressive here on 3rd down. Let's see what they dial up on this 3rd and long against Air Force at midfield.
Worthman to throw again. Looking over the middle. Zips it. Almost picked. almost intercepted. Justin Norton, the senior from Rowlett, Texas, got his hand on the football.
If Norton doesn't tip this football, it's an easy interception to, it looks like, Williams right behind it. You can't fault him for trying to make a play, but it was almost too good of a job. If he doesn't tip that, that would have been the first turnover for Navy this afternoon.
So Scott will punt again to Scott. Charlie Scott to punt. Craig Scott back to receive.
Air Force being sloppy with the football early. They better be careful.
It's at the 21 and takes a roll inside the 15, inside the 10. Charlie Scott pens him back. For those of you watching on CBSSports.com, our streaming coverage will conclude after the commercial break. But we'll continue on CBS Sports Network. You can find us by going to CBSSportsNetwork.com/channel finder.
When Michigan plays Ohio State.
Show Navy's forward.
Savings and service. Get your rate quote today.
This is a special Saturday in Annapolis, Maryland. Boat show, Navy's 4-0. Air Force is in town with Jenny Dell on the sideline, Carter Blackburn, Aaron Taylor. Two very different approaches to this game for Navy and Air Force.
Yeah, Navy coming into this game's on a 4-game winning streak, so they want things business as usual. They know the importance of this game, but they're trying to downplay it. Air Force, on the other hand, losing 3 straight, they know the significance of this game as well. They said it's their Super Bowl.
So with that in mind, we take a look at the keys to the game. And Air Force, they have to solve some things that they did wrong against New Mexico.
This is a run-based triple option offense. They have to get back to basics. They want to get 5 yards per carry is what the coaches told us, only 3.8 a week ago. And for the Naval Academy, attention to detail. Too many penalties and putting the ball on the ground will end that 4-game winning streak today against a team that likes to be aggressive in the Falcons.
Navy's second offensive possession from inside their own 10. Abey hands off, slipping away, and breaking free. Malcolm Perry across the 35. Perry across the 50. Malcolm Perry breaks free. All the way for a 91-yard touchdown run. The sophomore from Clarksville, Tennessee, is Navy's new star.
Just Grant Ross in the hole, the only returning starter, 44 for Air Force, misses the tackle, which should have been a 1-yard gain. Instead, it's a 90-plus yard touchdown. Air Force struggling defensively the second week in a row, giving up big plays early, and this one was a costly one.
Perry's last 2 games over 100 rushing yards. He's nearly there already again with a 91-yard TD run. Mooring's PAT makes it 7-0 Navy.
Malcolm Perry, couple back-to-back 100-yard games. It looks like it's going to be a third. The midshipmen up 7 here early.
Kendi Montalolo, Ivan Jasperson get the football in the hands of Malcolm Perry and let him go. Jenny Dell, that seems like a pretty good strategy for Navy.
Yeah, with injuries to Trey Walker and Josh Walker, the midshipmen had to really implement that next man-up philosophy, something they're very used to, and that's exactly what they did with Malcolm Perry. Now, you saw he was a former quarterback, now slot back. He rushed for back-to-back 100-yard games. You saw it just there. Perry told me he's enjoying the position, saying it gives him more freedom to be an athlete. Now, guys, running game coordinator Ashley Ingram recruited Perry and said he's only a sophomore, but he's the most well-rounded slot back we have.
The second longest Navy touchdown in midshipman football history. And for the guy who came out of the stands, the quarterback Navy, he was the JV quarterback last year. They needed him. He was there as a quarterback, now as the slot back, A-back, and Malcolm Perry. That is a weapon for Navy that they are utilizing in 2017 with extreme efficiency. McVay from near the goal line, the dangerous return man for Air Force. McVay barrels his way across the 20, gets near the 23. So Worthman and the Falcons, third possession. Worthman's going to keep it, and he is dropped as soon as he rushes Jerry Thompson, the striker, the senior from Memphis.
Here he is right here on the right side of your screen. He just beats the tight end inside. As a tight end, you have to get your face across the defender. You can't allow him to cross your face. That's just beating your man one-on-one. That wasn't scheme or anything other than 11 making a better play than the tight end.
Air Force's first possession was 3 and out. They got the game's first down on their second possession. Now 2nd and 9. Worthman, what looked like it may have been a busty play. Worthman takes it to the 30. They get back to 3rd down. Wooten on the stop.
Again, I've noticed, Carter, watching tape and seeing these guys earlier in the year, they like to run to that right side. They like to run to the boundary. I'm wondering if Worthman has trouble pitching to his left at times under duress. That's something we should keep our eye on.
3rd and 4 for Air Force, who took last year's Commander-in-Chief trophy, but 32 seniors off that team are gone. Worthman, toss, Erickson on the edge. Erickson has a first down. He takes a big pop as he gets to 35. Tyrus Wooten again there on the stop on Nolan Erickson, the sophomore from Clarkston, Michigan. This is his first action for the Falcons this season on offense.
When you take a look at this Air Force offense, that's an important first down. Only 293 yards on average against FBS opponents this year. For a triple option offense, it's been pretty efficient. They've been struggling to find their identity this year.
Toss. Erickson on the left side, so they run it to the field on the toss. Erickson, it gets across the 40. Thomas there on the stop. Today's game changer brought to you by GMC Ronald Cleveland.
Well, he's their speediest player on this team, and I remember watching the Michigan game. He caught a quick slant and outran Michigan's defense legitimately all the way down the field. Had a couple catches and a touchdown a week ago. Again, Worthman will put the ball in the air. We saw that here early. When he does, keep your eye on number 3 because he can take it to the house.
On 2nd and 4, here's Worthman. He wants a shot downfield. Caught wide open Bennett, and he will walk into the end zone for an Air Force touchdown. The big strike from Navy answered with a 59-yard TD strike. Worthman to Bennett.
You can't peek in the background when you're going to run a slant. Wide open, the safety has to keep his eyes disciplined in a situation like that. That's poor eye discipline. If your eyes tell lies, you get beat, and Navy just did.
Strable on for the PAT. So Worthman into the air. Bennett with his second big grab. Off Bennett goes into the wild blue yonder. Worthman, 7-7. In this, the 50th meeting between Air Force and Navy, 7-7. From 82 to 2002, Air Force won 19 of 21 meetings. Since then, Navy's won 10 of 14. Navy's run only 4 plays, but you give it a 91-yard touchdown run, you would take that over time of possession every time, right?
And big plays really have been one of the stories of this recent series. Both of these teams doing a good job of finding an explosive ability. These defenses got to figure that one out, or this game could get out of hand in terms of scoring, but it's been pretty fun to watch so far.
Perry bobbles it. Now scoots it out to the 15, and Perry takes a big pop near the 19. And now Abey, keeper on the left side. Zach Abey as he gets to the 24. We take a look at the Chick-fil-A starting lineups for the Navy midshipmen. Zach Abey told us by the time he got to high school, he knew he wanted to do 2 things. Serve his country and play Division I football. So for the Maryland native from Pasadena, Archbishop Spalding High School, he is literally living his dream.
He is, and he's a body blow style quarterback, a physical inside runner, a lot more like a fullback than he's a quarterback. If you block 2, he'll get you 5. Watch him fall forward throughout this game.
Abey on 2nd and 6, following his blockers across the 30, just enough for a first down. Griffin on the stop as we look at the rest of the Navy offense.
Well, we've already seen a lot from this young man already. Malcolm Perry, kind of the undersized, speedy back that's used as a perimeter runner. A 91-yard touchdown earlier on in this quarter. He plays that slot or A-back position, and he's been a heck of a weapon here all season long and early on in this game.
Both his parents in the Army spent most of their careers at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Malcolm and Bonnie. Went to visit with Malcolm the other day, and he is very much look you in the eye, shake your hand, yes sir, no sir. As Abey gets to near the 35, and we look at the Falcons defense.
Well, this is how I was hoping to introduce this young man, because he's Grant Ross, the only returning starter off a defense that lost 12 of its top 13 tacklers to graduation from last year. He missed a tackle in the hole, but again, it's how you respond, not whether you make a mistake. There's a lot of football left to play. Grant Ross needs to lead this charge. He's more than capable, and I fully expect him to do that.
Fourth play of this Navy drive. 3 Abey runs so far for 15 yards for the nation's third leading rusher.
Body blows.
Abey bobbles it, recovers, gets maybe a yard.
When you bobble the football like that, Carter, it can throw the timing off, and this brings up a third down opportunity for this Air Force defense that Steve Russ, the defensive coordinator that kind of holds that unit, likes to be aggressive. They play their safeties close to the line of scrimmage. Abey threw 4 passes a week ago, completed 3 of them for 90 yards. You have to play aggressive to try and stop the run here, but you also have to be assignment sound and true with your eyes.
Brown and high in the backfield with Abey, and it's high, the fullback pushing the pile across the 40 as Navy converts on 3rd and 4.
Typically in this matchup, fullbacks, when Navy does well, have played a critical role. Getting Chris High involved early is going to be critical here, and that's a nice pickup and conversion to move the chains. Is Navy trying to slow things down here?
7-7 between Air Force and Navy. Both big play touchdowns to get it started. So defense in the danger zone. Pete Mitchell's favorite song closes out the first quarter. 7-7 in Annapolis. Very special day for Navy football. For more, here's Jenny.
Yeah, Carter, the midshipmen have rallied around offensive coordinator Ivan Jasmine and his son, Jaron. Just 14 years old, Jaron was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia. That's an abnormally fast heartbeat. He's been at the Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C. since August 4th. But, guys, some great news on Thursday. The Jaspers were able to bring Jaron home, and here he is here at the stadium today. While he's still awaiting a heart donor, the Navy Brotherhood is in full force with love and support, and we are all Jaron strong.
You know, there's a word around Navy football that gets used a lot, and that word is love. And I don't mean this in a flippant way at all. We talked with Ken Niumatalolo about there's motivating factors of fear and of hating someone. And then there's the motivating factor of love. And it's a core belief of Navy football, and I think probably most evident with the Jasper family and the love around Jaron from this community, and what the Jasper family has been able to do and what this Navy football team has been able to do through a strong sense of love.
Well said, partner.
High's going to take it again. High pushing the pile. Short of the first down, but it will be 3rd and short, 3rd and 2 with his short field. Grant Ross makes the stop for the Falcons.
It's so hard to stop the fullback when he has a head of steam and it hits so quickly. So the way to do that's what Navy's been able to do to Air Force, and that's get the penetration. To me, it seems like Air Force is catching at the point of attack. That defensive line has to find a way to get their pad under pad, use their hands, do some shocking and shedding, cross and face, and get these ball carriers down on the ground.
I know you're starting to get lathered up when you start talking about shocking and shedding.
I just like to watch you pass.
There he goes in motion, give it to High again. Another good push, just enough to move the chains. First down Navy as Vereen and Ross make the stop. High from Oklahoma, so last week homecoming to Oklahoma against Tulsa. Rushed for 89 yards, 13 carries against the Golden Hurricane.
I played the veer in high school in any option-based offense. It starts from the inside out. We saw this Air Force team struggle against San Diego State. They were gashing them inside with the fullback dive. That's where Navy's going to be, but keep your eye on 9 and then get into the outside with 10.
Navy's going to give it to High again. Just give it to them until they can stop it, right?
Yep.
Floor makes the tackle this time, but another gain for High. Today's 1st and 10 line is brought to you by Golden Corral.
Been some pretty good offensive linemen on this Navy team. I like their left guard, number 75, Robert Lindsay, a lot. Missed most of last year with a lower back injury, but he's somebody that plays with a tenacity and a veracity that you need to be successful on the offensive line. Fun to watch.
Give it to High again, pushing again, moving the chains again. Griffin brings him down this time, but Chris High carrying the load in the short field for Navy.
Running behind 57, Jake Hawk and Robert Lindsay. Look at that push. You just talk about resetting the line of scrimmage. There's no cut blocking here. There's no angle blocking here. That was base blocks, cutting it backside, taking advantage of some nice push on the left side of that O-line. Look at those splits that Navy plays with. There's a lot of real estate that Air Force has to cover.
High again with his 7th carry of the game. Pushes it inside the 20-yard line on the drive that started at the 45. Well, remember, Navy had the 91-yard touchdown, so in one play they already erased the nasty number from last year against Air Force when Navy rushed for only 57 yards. And that loss to Air Force a year ago. They have wiped away that number in pretty easy fashion today.
146 rushing yards today. We're going to take a nice little look here. Great job by the trucker showing us this offense to show you what Air Force is seeing before the ball is snapped.
Why not give it to High again?
If you can't stop the dive, it's going to be a long afternoon for you. You mentioned it, Carter. You open up a can of worms if you can't get it stopped. That was some nice push that time by Mosiai Fafita. But it takes more than one to get your job done. That offensive line for Navy doing a really nice job controlling the point of attack. And the red zone is an area that Ken Niumatalolo, wanted to see his team do a much better job of.
Now it's Abey on the keeper, and Abey gets just a couple. Capra on the stop.
And it's interesting, Carter, when you're running the fullback dive and you can't stop it defensively, you start to overcommit because you're tired of getting body blowed and death by paper cuts. And that's exactly when the quarterback can keep it, or you can pitch it to the outside by getting the defense to not be disciplined with their eyes. Very similar strategy to what you do in play action.
So Abey with the first play on this drive. That was not a handoff to Chris High.
Nice job by Air Force getting a stop of only 1 yard on that last play.
High again. This time he stood up just inside the 10 and driven back. It's Moses Fafita, the sophomore from Everett, Washington, at the point of attack on Chris High.
Air Force really struggled a week ago against New Mexico. Gave up 4 for 4 in the red zone. All 4 were touchdowns, but this is a 3rd and long situation for Navy. And again, your chances go significantly down the longer the down and distance is. And with Navy's field goal kicking situation being what it is, this is a very important play here.
Bennett Mooring, the field goal kicker, is only 1 for 4. Had a 26-yarder blocked last week. On 3rd and 7 out of the timeout. Perry in motion. Abey toss right side. Bonner on the edge. Looping into the end zone. Welcome back, Daryl Bonner. Flag is down, but for now, Bonner, who suffered the high ankle sprain in the Tulane game, the senior captain from Fayetteville, North Carolina, back on the field for the midshipmen and into the end zone.
There is no foul for a block in the back. The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the celebration has a little extra juice for Daryl Bonner back on the field in his senior year.
That was really close. I can see why they threw the flag on Tyler Carmona. It looked like an illegal block in the back. It was hard to see how much contact there was. But if you're an Air Force fan, you're not really happy with them picking up that flag.
Bennett Mooring's PAT sneaks in there, 14-7 Navy. Navy has its captain back. Bonner into the end zone.
We're back here in Annapolis where Navy just went up to 14-7 on a controversial touchdown where a penalty flag was picked up off the ground. It looked like Tyler Carmona, the tight end, number 88, right there, gets a clip into his back. The officials threw a penalty flag, but later discussed it and picked it back up. And I don't think they should have done that. I think Navy got away with an illegal clip there. I think that touchdown should have come off the board.
Instead, Bonner able to take advantage. Yeah, that was one of the big questions for Navy football. When would Darryl Bonner be back in his senior year? And then coming off that high ankle sprain, back on the field. Touchdown Navy. Got the short field. Chris High led the way down. Bonner finishes it off. And now McVay from near the goal line. McVay wrestled down at the 10-yard line as Navy flies down to make the stop on special teams. So Worthman in the Air Force offense backed up to their 11.
First down success has to improve for Air Force this afternoon.
I don't think Abey was supposed to motion. Worthman sent him right back. Now on the move. Here's the toss on the end around. It's Cleveland. Cleveland with the block on the edge. Ronald Cleveland has room on the outside. Shoved out near the 30-yard line on the end around to Ronald Cleveland.
There were some beautiful blocks. This is a changeup. Air Force likes to run reverses to get themselves to the edge and the boundary right there. Great job. And then Worthman does a nice job. Gets a defensive lineman down on the ground. But how about Jake Barnhorst, the left tackle, 6'4", 275-pound senior out of Cincinnati with the decleater.
Worthman 1st and 10. Give it to Erickson, and he's dropped by DJ Palmore, the senior captain. Armed Forces football is proudly supported by Golden Corral.
Enjoyed watching DJ Palmore on tape. He's a playmaker, can rush the passer a little bit, come off the edge early on. Had a real good game in week 1 against FAU.
As a team captain, has 3 bars on the collar and says that brings a special responsibility around the United States Naval Academy. Worthman 2nd and 11. Chase again. Loose football. Navy has it at the 41. Palmore recovers it on the strip. Thompson knocks it free. And Palmore, the defensive captain, gets the takeaway for Navy in the game's first turnover.
Turnovers will kill you in this sort of game. Just some backside pressure. Air Force going to the pass, well, a little too often. Took one too many drinks, and it's a costly turnover. Keep your eye here. It's off this backside edge. It's an offensive tackle. You can't step under yourself, but he gets hit at the last moment by the back that's trying to clear, which prevents him from being able to get his block. That is just poor execution all the way around for Air Force, and poor Worthman gets hit from the back and turns the ball over on the plus side of the field with a dangerous Navy offense.
Navy's last drive started at their 45, resulted in the touchdown to give them a lead. And now off the takeaway by the defense from the Air Force 41. Perry takes the toss. The quarterback turned A-back is going to tuck it and run. Perry inside the 30, slipping his way inside the 20-yard line. The play looked like it was a Perry toss. Instead, he pulls it and rolls for 22 yards.
Well, they were trying to hit a slant off the backside. Perry's going to take the ball, and he wants to be able to throw it, but it's great coverage. Look right there, he's double covered, so he makes the smart play, tucks it away, and makes something out of nothing. Tremendous escapability for him, which is something he's done all season long. Remember, he's a former quarterback in high school. He's very comfortable back there with the ball in his hands, showing you some pizzazz for the big pickup.
And now 3 straight games with over 100 yards for Perry. Give it to High on first down for a gain of 2. So a 91-yard touchdown for Perry. And what was supposed to be a trick play where he tosses it again, rushes for 22 to go over 100 in the first half.
Just a heck of a playmaker. He's been doing it all season long, and if you're Air Force, you got to bow your neck here. You just gave up another touchdown to go down by 7. You go down by 14 here, it's going to be really hard to dig yourself out of that hole, particularly with Navy getting the ball back to start the second half. This is a really important set of downs here for the Air Force Academy.
Abey to high. Gets to the 15. It's Moses Fafita who has been the most effective run stopper in the middle for Air Force, especially on Chris High.
Well, he's 320 pounds, only a sophomore, but he's the type of guy that can hold the point. Remember, in this sort of offense, particularly if you want to get the fullback involved, your center has to get movement at the point of attack and negate that nose tackle, which is why Fafita is so important and can make plays like we just saw a play ago.
Navy with its second straight drive, beginning with a short field. How can they cap it off? 3rd and 6. Little collision in the backfield, but Abey pulls it, stretches, mark him down at the 4. But Abey has another first down before Vereen makes the tackle on 3rd and 6. Busted play. Abey just takes it himself.
Yeah, it was almost a busted play for Navy, and then Abey makes something out of nothing. Just terrible, terrible tackling by Air Force, something you're not used to seeing. But they've got to be quite a bit better than that. They had that play stopped dead to rights. But Abey, just look at what he does, man. There is no quitting that kid. Heck of a hard runner.
They give him the 1. So got together, said, yeah, he's at the 1. Abey keeper, pushing, touchdown. Abey gets just enough. The ball crosses. Navy a 20-7 lead off the fumble from Worthman. Navy uses another short field. This one 41 yards. And Zach Abey into the end zone again. The brigade of midshipmen with Tigger celebrates. Bennett mooring on for the PAT. It started, and the PAT is good. Started with the takeaway by the Navy defense.
It always does. Turnovers are the tail of the tape of this series, proving to be a factor here early. Jerry Thompson gets the touchdown, and then Navy responds, taking advantage, going up 21-7.
3:45 from halftime. Navy now leads at 21-7 on Air Force. Bennett Mooring's kickoff. Short, hits at the 15 and bounces out of bounds, so the penalty will put it at the 35-yard line. Worthman keeps. On the edge, he's dropped at the 50-yard line. Nice open field tackle by Hudson Sullivan, the Mike linebacker from Virginia.
And I wonder if there was a late opportunity to pitch the football here. You see Worthman trying to get himself vertically right there. If he had pitched it to Erickson, Erickson might have been able to get 4 or 5 yards, but instead it's a 1-yard gain or a half a yard. Now you're 2nd and 10 behind the chains. I think Worthman made the wrong read there. He's trying to be cautious, but he could have pitched it.
On 2nd and 8, Worthman play fake, stands and delivers, knocked away by Wooten. Pass intended for Sanders, and there's Tyrus Wooten. That's one of the reasons why the Navy defensive coordinator, Dale Pearson, thought they could make a change to more men. He likes their defensive backs.
And those guys like playing on that island, just good tight coverage, gets his right hand in there. Good protection. There was some heat coming late, but just that's really good, outstanding defensive back play. In phase right behind him, doesn't touch him, doesn't hook him, just knocks the ball down, gets a pass breakup.
Now Wooten got beat for the big touchdown by Bennett earlier, but that's life as a DB and man coverage. Back to make a stop, forcing 3rd and 8. Worthman hit as he throws again, complete downfield, inside the 30-yard line. Riffett holds it in. There is a flag down, but for now, Worthman to Riffett for 21. Another big play in the pass game for Air Force.
There was some heavy heat coming off of Worthman's left-hand side. They brought Sean Williams, the safety, in pressure. I wonder if he got there late.
Foul, roughing the passer. Number 6 of the defense. That penalty will be added to the end of the run, half the distance. First down.
Turning a 21-yard gain into 36. For Air Force, another penalty against Navy, costly.
It was right there at the very end after the ball was going with Williams. You see the double pressure, you can only pick one. But just a nice job by Riffett going up and getting that ball, and Hudson Sullivan, the middle linebacker, was completely lost about where his ball and defender was.
So with the help of the big penalty, and now McVay puts it on the ground, scooped up by Palmore. DJ Palmore across midfield. Worthman brings him down, but the fumble by Air Force, another takeaway. Palmore has them both. The second fumble recovery of the day for the senior captain from Bartlett, Tennessee.
That was a quick pitch. He's trying to get rid of it. It didn't look like it came out cleanly from his hands. It was behind McVay. And once again, Palmore, we talked about his playmaking ability. He shows up. There was a defender on him almost immediately, and Worthman had to get rid of that football. I was just on him about not pitching the play before where I thought he should. That might have been an opportunity where maybe he should have held on to it. But the accuracy, any way you look at it, or inaccuracy, led to the turnover.
Navy has 3 fumble recoveries this year, all of them DJ Palmore. Abey, deep shot, downfield, knocked away, incomplete. Intended for Cologne on the quick change. James Jones knocks it away.
Not surprised, and I like that play call by Navy after the sudden change, as you mentioned. Beautifully thrown ball, floats up there a little bit, and allows the pass break up there at the very end. Stayed alive a little bit longer than the receiver. Nice job that time by the Naval, or excuse me, by Air Force. And this is critical here, Carter, and I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but with 1:59, Navy with 1 timeout. Navy gets the ball to start the second half.
Abey looking for another deep shot. Try it again. Perry has it. Perry, touchdown again. 40 yards. Abey to Malcolm Perry. Off the second Navy takeaway by DJ Palmore.
Got to be disciplined with your eyes. Navy back-to-back passes showing you their vertical ability to be able to throw the football. You wonder if this lead starts to become insurmountable for Air Force.
Mooring's PAT is good. 28-7 for Navy. Palmore gets the takeaway, gives it to Abey. They missed the first deep shot after the takeaway by Palmore. But after Malcolm Perry, a 91-yard TD, this one for 40. 28-7. 28-7 Navy. They're 4-0 for just the 3rd time in 38 years. Last time Navy was 5-0, 1979. And U.S. Naval Academy graduate Jimmy Carter was in the White House last time that Navy was 5-0. And a 28-7 lead here. Like how Navy missing the deep shot because the great play by Jones for Air Force. They come right back to another deep shot, get it from 40.
And took advantage of the same player, Jones, who got beat because he wasn't disciplined with his eyes.
McVay lets it go out of bounds again, so the 35-yard line again. So Arion Worthman back out there at quarterback for Air Force. Last 2 drives have ended in fumbles. Worthman fakes a toss, keeps it, finds a seam. Across midfield, Worthman cuts it back, loses the football again, but he was down before it came out. At least that's the initial signal. Worthman marked down at the 43-yard line, but another loose football from Worthman and the Falcons.
And you have to be concerned about Worthman putting the ball on the ground. He's got 2 hands over it. He's clearly down. That ball just squirts out, but that can't do much for his confidence, nor the coaching staff that has seen the ball on the ground after number 2's touched it.
Palmore nearly had another fumble recovery. Instead, it's a gain of 22. And now Worthman stepping up in the pocket. Worthman deep shot downfield, incomplete. Intended for Cleveland with Wooden in coverage.
Cleveland slow to get up a little bit. He's their speedster that we talked about in the open during the opening lineups. Good tight coverage that time again by 17, Tyrus Wooten of Navy. But what I liked about what he did there, Carter, is he stepped up in the pocket instead of being a sitting duck back down there. Kept his eyes downfield, just an off-target throw.
So with Cleveland on the sideline, Air Force needing a score before the half. Worthman pumps. Now he takes another deep shot. It's up for grabs and incomplete. Bennett fell down. Wooten had the best chance at that football, but it's 3rd and 10.
Just not a good decision to force that football down the field. It looked like he had Garrett Amey as a check down kind of on the wheel route, but he didn't make his way to his read. Now after a couple incompletions, it gives yourself a 3rd and long. This isn't an ideal situation for the Falcons here.
Worthman on the draw. Worthman slipping his way across the 35, and he has a first down at a critical time. Clock stops with 1:09. Worthman out of the gun now with 4 wide. So a big wrinkle in the offense with Amey in motion. Worthman on the edge, toss it to McVay anyway out of the shotgun. Nothing doing there. McVay still in bounds. Merchant on the stop. And the clock ticking with 23 seconds. Air Force trying to hurry up to get a couple shots at the end zone before you bring on the kicking unit. Down to 16 seconds. Still with a 1 timeout. Snap it at 12. Worthman stepping up. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. Worthman gets out of bounds with 5 seconds. 3rd down, but again, it's Strable on for the field goal attempt. The senior from Nashville's father Ryan, who has been solid in his senior season.
This would be a nice way for Air Force to end the half, kind of regroup and come back out swinging in the 3rd quarter.
Strable from 27. Good hold. The 27-yarder is easily good. Points on the board. The longest drive of the day for Air Force. A 10-play drive. The field goal to make it 28-10. But 2 fumbles by Air Force. Both turning into touchdowns for Navy in a 28-10 lead. The Brigade of Midshipmen have plenty to celebrate, sailing away to a 28-10 lead at the half. In the 50th meeting between the Falcons and the Midshipmen, 28-10 at the half with Jenny Dell on the sideline, Aaron Taylor. I'm Carter Blackburn, and remember how we talked about turnovers into points and how that was going to determine the game. I'd say through the first half, pretty accurate.
Well, we get on these conference calls each week where the coaches are like, turnovers and running game, that's going to be important. Well, this week it's been exactly what it's been. Turnovers really have been the story of this game. Air Force giving it up twice. Navy converted both of those on short fields, no longer than 45 yards, into touchdowns and 14 points. That's been the biggest difference in this game. And oh yeah, Navy is running the heck out of the football.
And oh yeah, almost 39,000 here for Navy and Air Force. A stadium record at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, where they've been playing since 1959. It is beyond standing room. Chance to check in with Jenny Dell.
Yeah, I spoke with head coach Ken Niumatalolo, and he said the game plan coming in was to really simplify everything. They want to stick with that game plan. He's really pleased with the way that the team has played in the first half, but he said, as you mentioned, the focus is turnovers and who can run the ball. Guys, he said we have not hit our stride yet. We're hoping to in the second half.
Trying to go to 5-0 for the first time since 1979. They were 4-0 2 years ago and lost to Notre Dame and ended up winning 11 games that year. School record. Abey slipping his way across the 40-yard line floor makes the stop.
Well, we take a look at the first half possessions for the Naval Academy, scoring a touchdown in 14 seconds on that 91-yard touchdown run by Malcolm Perry. Then it was a punt, then 3 straight touchdowns to end the half. Now, I will say the one thing that Air Force has been successful at defensively today is taking Zach Abey out of the run game. Only 39 rush yards through the half, under 4 yards per carry, as he goes right here.
So Abey trying to get it rolling after Air Force contained him in the first half. Floyd there on the stop. How about Navy with 2 14-second touchdown drives?
I mean, how about that? This is not really necessarily known as a quick strike offense, but I don't know if I could run 91 yards in 14 seconds.
But now Now at 28-10, you go back to ball control, taking care of the football, running the clock, and trying to bleed Air Force.
Yes, and they will undoubtedly take a deep shot and try and put the nail in the coffin every chance that they get. This is an offense, Carter, you're spot on. It is a body blow offense by design. They want to keep hitting you, keep hitting you, keep hitting you. This is just a delayed quarterback draw lead. And Abey, again, we talked about his legs and his ability to run physically, showing you what he's capable of. Getting a huge pickup there on first down.
Pretty quiet at the start of the third quarter with Navy up 28-10.
It really feels like Navy's in control of this game, and it seems somewhat academic at this point. Air Force doesn't feel that same way.
Abey, late toss on the edge. Bonner has the edge. Bonner rolling inside the 10. 38 yards for Darryl Bonner.
Everybody collapses on the inside. A great crack block by Cologne on the outside. Frees up Bonner to get to the edge. He puts the speed on. And if it wasn't for some great backside pursuit that time by Jamel Sanders to get him down, that would have been another long touchdown.
Still first and goal. Abey, keeper, pushing inside the 10. And now you go back to, all right, you want to play ball control, and you're back to those two things that Ken Niumatalolo has harped on since the start of 17. We cannot turn the football over. We cannot commit costly penalties. They've done that, and yet they're still 4-0 and the offense is humming. That's the way that Air Force could get back in this game.
It certainly is, and they've got to do a better job of limiting the explosive plays. You have to do well on first and second down, but they just given up too much chunk yardage, and I think that's a testament to not only being young, but not being very deep on defense either.
Abey, the junior from Pasadena, Maryland, on second and goal with a big push. High trying to seal the block on the outside. Abey takes it to the 4. Floor and Ross combined on the tackle.
That was a really nice job that time by Jack Floor, number 50. He's the leading tackler on this team. First-year starter, really making an immediate impact. Led his team a week ago with 8 tackles in that tough loss against New Mexico. That's the sort of depth and leadership that this defense needs, but they need more Jack Floors and Grant Rosses.
Opening drive of the second half. Started at Navy's own 35. Third and goal. Abey to pass on third and goal to Carmona, incomplete. He's been the touchdown target. 4 catches on the year, 2 of them TDs. Bullard there in coverage. Now 4th and goal. And Bennett Mooring and the kicking unit come out for Navy.
Really nice job that time by Air Force, bowing its neck, forcing a third down throw that was off target, and forcing Navy, more importantly, into a field goal try, something that they've really struggled with all season long.
Mooring only 1 for 4. The only make, 24 yards at Tulsa. This from 21. Had a short one blocked last week. Boggs gets the hold down. May have been a hand on that one, but it sneaks through for a field goal to make it 31-10.
Sounded like it to me as well, Carter. Air Force coming up a little bit short, trying to block the field goal, but bended but didn't break at the end. Oh, so close.
Boat show weekend here in Annapolis, Maryland. All of those sailboats could be yours. if you have the right check with you, the right piece of plastic, that boat could be yours. So it is a big weekend in Annapolis. Record crowd here at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Boat show, packed house, and Navy's on the verge of trying to close out what's now a 31-10 game and trying to get to 5-0 for the first time since 1979. Kickoff from Mooring, taken by McVeigh. Across the 20-yard line, McVeigh dropped at the 27-yard line. So Worthman slipping his way again across the 50-yard line. Worthman with a burst to try and give Air Force a boost. It's Wooten who brings him down after a gain of 53 yards for Worthman.
We've seen this play to the other side earlier in the game. Great lead blocking. The second level defenders getting out of their run lanes, not canceling the gaps, and Worthman hits it into gear and finally gets brought down at the very end after a long run by Wooten there.
Worthman hands off again to Parker Wilson, pushing inside the 20. Air Force needing to punch it into the end zone. It's Erickson on the carry. Wilson blocks, but I mean, this is Air Force needs a touchdown on this drive, especially with Navy's ability to bleed the clock.
The good news for Air Force is they've had some recent success. 4 for 4 in the red zone with 3 touchdowns a week ago against New Mexico.
Worthman fakes it on the edge. Inside the 10. Worthman down to the 6-yard line. Merchant makes the stop. First and goal, Air Force.
Nice job. Seal blocks on that right side. J.C. Rast, among others, doing a brilliant job of creating the edge that Worthman takes advantage of. And watch the ball skills here. He looks like he's going to fake it, tucks it back inside, protects the football for the nice gain.
First and goal, McVay. Straight ahead, into the end zone. McVay, touchdown, Air Force. The Falcons with a critical touchdown drive to get back in it early in the third.
McVay, Carter's only 190 pounds, but watch him run right through the nose tackle right there. Jackson Pittman, who was really frustrated. Pittmans don't usually make mistakes. Nice heavy run by McVay, getting that touchdown that they need.
Strable on for the PAT, the 4th rushing touchdown of the year for McVay.
We talked about McVay at the beginning of the game in our opening lineups. He's their playmaker. He makes a heck of a play here. Air Force trying to get back in it. Somebody's losing to Notre Dame.
They were back then anyway. Perry goes in motion. Abey on the edge. Abey keeper across the 35. Looking for a block on the edge. Abey shakes his way through. Abey inside the 20-yard line. Abey takes it. 75 yards for a Navy touchdown. And the Meds have the answer.
This is just an outside zone keeper by Zach Abey. Something that they tended to run a little bit with different quarterbacks. Abey more of an inside the tackle runner, but showing you some great speed and open field running ability there. And again, Carter, I can't be complimentary enough for this Navy offensive line. They're getting a hat on a hat and doing a beautiful job up front today.
Mooring's PAT is good. Abey's numbers had been held in check by the Air Force defense until the 75-yard touchdown run, the 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. Archbishop Spalding, Pasadena, Maryland. All Navy. How about with the 91-yard touchdown and Abey's 75? That's 2 of the 3 longest touchdown plays this year for Navy have come in this game against Air Force. As McVay takes it across the 25. Worthman, toss. McVay on the edge. Good block on the edge. Allows McVay to dive across the 45. Williams finally makes the stop.
Some really nice blocking out here on the outside edge. Getting outside, just seal blocking. Boom. Right there. Cleveland getting a nice block. Got some linemen downfield, and McVay showing you that speed. Good perimeter run there.
Gain of 19. Worthman hands off. This is Erickson. Bounces it outside, and Erickson diving forward to the 30 before Wooten finally brings him down. Good run from Erickson.
And here's that perimeter run to the right that Air Force likes to do. We talked about that early in the game. They're getting back to it. It's effective. The counter here is a reverse or a toss sweep out to the left to take advantage of the extra field.
From the 30, Worthman pitch on the edge. advantage. Cleveland gets maybe 4. Heflin forces him out. Armed Forces Football is proudly sponsored by USAA.
I've seen this time and time again. Air Force keeps working the boundary, which is the short side of the field. They're on the right hash, so they're running to basically the right third of the field. The counter is to hit something back out to the field side as Navy starts to overcompensate.
That's Erickson, stood up on 2nd down. Jarvis Polu on the stop, and 38-17 late 3rd quarter. You got to think Air Force is not just playing for 3rd down, but also for 4th.
No question at this point, given the nature of this offense, you definitely are thinking 4-down territory. You're down by 3 touchdowns. They not only need to think 4 downs, they got to be thinking touchdown here as well. A field goal is not going to get them back in the game with the way Navy's been operating offensively.
On 3rd and 5, here's the toss. Erickson with room ahead. Erickson picks up the 1st down inside the 15. The sophomore Nolan Erickson, who's playing more with the injury to Miller.
Nice job on that right side of the offensive line for Air Force, getting guys down on the ground. If I'm Air Force, I'm noticing that Villalobos is coming in on that right side. I like running to the boundary. I might go back to the well one more time.
Low snap. Worthman handles it. Nothing there. Worthman keeps it. Palmore leads the charge with a tackle for loss on 1st down.
And Tyler Sales was in there well. Immediate penetration. And there was nowhere for them to run, just inside, defeating blocks. Credit Tyrus Wooten that time, setting the edge on the outside, forcing Worthman to go back up inside. Just a really well run-fitted play by Navy.
Worthman on 2nd down. There's the toss. Erickson again inside the 10. Erickson pushing to the 1. Micah Thomas finally brings him down. It'll be 1st and goal, Air Force.
Heck of a run here. This is the play that they tried to run earlier, except that time they pick it up and do a really nice job. Jacob Stafford, the backup fullback, with a crushing block on the 2nd level to seal that play to get down to the 1.
Erickson didn't have a touch until today. 84 rushing yards in this game now. Worthman 1st and goal, keeping, stretching across the goal line. Touchdown Air Force. It's back-to-back touchdown drives for the Falcons. And with 4:30 left in the 3rd, it's back to a 2-touchdown game again.
That was a heck of a drive by Air Force, and what a way to cap it off by Arion Worthman. Doing a beautiful job of really overcoming some early miscues. It's the 2nd effort with the spin here. Has the wherewithal to keep it alive. Reaches the ball across the goal line right there. That's just a heads-up smart play.
The PAT is good, so Worthman in the 1st half. The 2 costly fumbles. Now trying to lead Air Force back into the end zone. 38-24. Here in Annapolis, Maryland, a 38-24 lead for Navy. Air Force's last 2 drives have both been 73-yard touchdown drives. And on both of those drives, all rushes.
Well, Troy Calhoun said it's time for us to get back to basics when we talked to him this week. And these last 2 drives, Carter, as you just indicated, are perfect examples of that.
Luke Strable to kick it off. Navy had the quick response with a 75-yard touchdown run from Abey after the last Air Force touchdown. There he is back. Touch back to the 25. Give it to Chris High. And High pushes to the 49. So it's 1st and 20, and then the next 2 plays. Abey for 11. Abey for 17. He's got 170 yards. And now Navy has taken that pressure off.
He reminds me a little bit of when I was in college blocking for Jerome Bettis. He would have pretty good first halves, and in the second halves, those body blows added up, and that's when the haymakers and the knockout punches came. I'm not at all trying to compare Zach Abey to Jerome Bettis, but the same effect through different means certainly is similar.
Abey keeps it, takes a good pop.
Look at that.
I mean, just fighting. with 2-3 defenders on him, Jones and Marine. He drags him even after the contact for gain of 5.
This is how you break a team's will, as you see a couple players getting up slow for Air Force. It's exactly the difference in the game as Navy's up 14 points here.
31, quick snap. Move the chains again.
It's been interesting with this Navy offense. Some teams you see it's run, play action, run, play action. With Navy today, it's been dive, explosive play, dive, explosive play. Those have come on the legs of Abey. They've come on the legs of Malcolm Perry on the perimeter. Malcolm Perry through the air, down the seams. This is an offense that's predicated upon getting 5+ yards per carry, but it's got some punch to it as well. Can score in a hurry.
Perry motions out. Abey on the keeper. Grant Ross and Dalen Sutton on the stop for the Falcons.
Sutton came off that outside edge and did a nice job with Grant Ross, the only returning starter on this team. If you're Air Force, this is where you need your leadership to step up. This is where somebody needs to make a play. There's no energy in this stadium right now. Navy kind of feels like they've got this game under control. This is the perfect time for somebody on Air Force to step up and cause a turnover.
Shaquille Vereen back into the game. Abey on the edge on 2nd and 8. Wrapped up and brought down. Fafita and Sanders combined on that stop to force 3rd down with the seconds ticking away in the 3rd quarter.
That's a big load of laundry right there now. I see you, big dog. That's how you hold the point and kind of eat up some blocks right there and take away that dive. Among the biggest players that's played here in quite some time, 320 pounds, only a sophomore. And he's not just a big piece of chewed bubble gum. He can move and pretty athletic for a big man.
Abey on 3rd and 5 with Perry motioning again. Right into the hands. I mean, scooped up by Bonner, and that is a big break for Navy. Off the hands of Abey. Right into Bonner on the last play of the 3rd quarter. So the Air Force Falcons hoping for a gift at the end of the 3rd, and they nearly got it. Bonner able to corral it, and Navy keeps the football and keeps a 2-touchdown lead as we go to the 4th. 38-24, Navy on Air Force on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. 4th quarter with the largest crowd ever at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium here in Annapolis. This game was 7-7 after 1. Navy has taken command. White hits it near the 40. Cleveland calls for the fair catch. Has it right around the 10.
But I've been really impressed, Carter, by Air Force and their resilience today.
Worthman looking for a deep shot downfield. Caught near midfield again. It's Marcus Bennett with another big grab for the Falcons.
Marcus Bennett has been the go-to receiving threat for a couple weeks after a bad snap. Worthman pulls down and drops the hole right in the middle of 3 defenders. It's a little bit low, but that's about one of the only places it could have come. But more importantly, it was complete. Worthman once again making plays with his arm.
3 catches, 104 yards in the game for Marcus Bennett. Worthman 1st and 10. Pressured, zips it complete. Over the middle into Navy territory. It's Abey to near the 42. Worthman toss, another end around. This is Cleveland on the reverse. With a blocker on the edge. Cleveland inside the 30, inside the 20, shoved down. Back come the Falcons in the 4th.
Just a beautifully designed run. They're going to fake here, but it's going to be Cleveland that comes around again to the field side. They fake like they're going to the boundary, but they take advantage of all this extra space over here. Worthman out in front. It wasn't the best block, but it was a nice effort, just enough to slow to allow Cleveland for the nice pickup.
So McVay on 1st and 20. Brought down by Villalobos is out there for the injured Polo.
You look at the numbers and the statistics on conversions of 3rd and 1 to 3, a 4 to 6 to 7 and 9 plus, and it's staggering how quickly it drops. Because of that, this is an important 2nd down play for Air Force.
Low snap. Another trick. This is Sanders. He wants to throw it. He wants to toss it back. Worthman inside the 10. First and goal, Air Force. Worthman on the receiving end of the pass from Sanders.
This is just going to be another wrinkle off the reverse action again, except instead of blocking, Worthman releases this time. They set this play up early in the drive with that reverse. It is an exact mirror of the play to the other side. The safeties bite because they got set up. Just a beautiful play call and execution there by Mike Thiessen, the offensive coordinator.
First and goal after the gain of 24. Worthman, keeper, touchdown, Air Force, into the fourth. The Falcons have saved something special for the fourth quarter against Navy. The trick play leads the way, and we have a one-score game with 11:28 to go.
Here come the Falcons. Here come the Falcons. Just a quarterback lead off that left side, capping a brilliant drive. We talked about the energy being down here, kind of solemn and somber maybe in the stadium. Well, Air Force had other plans. They weren't ready to give up yet. Come on, horse.
Strable boots it through, so it's back to a one-score game. The Falcons, who have been dominated in the second half of ball games this year, not today in Annapolis.
Looked like the Falcons were out of it at the end of the first half. Navy scores a touchdown. They drive the field, kick a field goal. They've done a brilliant job of digging themselves out of the hole here in the second half. With a lot of time left in the fourth quarter, they are very much in this ball game.
Perry bobbles it, scoops it up at the 10. And now Perry trying to pick his way across the 20-yard line. Perry across the 30. And what was a scary beginning to that kick return for Malcolm Perry ends up with solid field position near the 40s. Abey across the 45-yard line. Zach Abey to the 49. Griffin on the stop. Navy's won 6 of the last 7 meetings here in Annapolis. It has been 20 years since anybody other than Air Force and Navy, i.e. Army, has won the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. Troy Calhoun, it's been 10 years, 9 bowl games. If they don't win this game, that becomes tough to get to in 17. Abey, toss, on the edge, Perry again. Knocked out of bounds near the 30. Jack Moore may have saved a touchdown.
Just some tremendous ball faking. Completely faked me out here up in the booth. I thought this play was going up the gut. Everybody else on Air Forces did as well. Abey keeps it, pitches it to Perry, who hits the edge for the huge pickup.
Today's first and 10 line is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. 9:38 to go.
What's so incredible is both of these defenses are extremely familiar with these offenses because they see them all the time in the spring and the fall. So the nuances in the gamesmanship is at all-time high levels when these two play each other.
Abey keeps it, popping Falcon defenders as he gets across the 25.
There is some hitting going on down there. Take a listen. Safety's coming up, pads banging. That's the noise that you love, Carter. That's part of the thing that I miss about playing in the trenches. And as an offensive lineman, man, this is what you love. I mean, you're always in 4-minute offense. It's always an obvious run situation. You get a chance to run off the football, accelerate your feet on contact, and break the will of the man in front of you. There's been some great examples all afternoon of it.
Abey keeps it again on 2nd and 1. Inside the 20. Abey pushing to the 16-yard line. Ross finally brings him down.
Abey is a will breaker. We talked about at the start of this show that if you block 2, he gets you 5. He's just dragging this Air Force defense who's holding on for dear life.
A good sign for Air Force. Griffin back in the game, trying to load up on Zach Abey, who's gone over 200 rushing yards for the 2nd time, and this is junior year. Abey hands off high, straight ahead. Chris High to the 13-yard line. You know, for Zach Abey, you lose your first 2 starts, and they're big ones. You lose to Army, you lose to Louisiana Tech in the bowl game in Fort Worth, and then you bounce back 4-0. So everyone around the midshipman program saying not only is his confidence growing, but the team's confidence in Zach Abey as their quarterback and leader is growing, especially ball control and ball security.
It's critical. Navy on average has about 12 possessions per game. You can't afford to give those up by turning the ball over.
Give it to High. He stood up, driven back. Falcons trying to rip it out of there. High hanging on to it. Were those numbers for Abey over 200 rushing yards today? 168 second half rushing yards. He had only 39 in the first. So now can High, Abey, and Navy control the football, secure the football. 207 rushing yards now in the game.
Heck of an opportunity here if you're Air Force to bow your neck and force the field goal. They did a nice job of it, almost blocked it. Let's see if they got another play in them here.
On 35, High inside the 10, trying to get one more push. Boy, that is close. So Sanders makes the stop. Fourth down coming up.
Interesting call here. If you're Navy, I think you got a better chance of probably converting this third down than you have making the field goal. I think they should go for it. It's fourth down. Go for it if you want to convert this. This is contrary to what I thought Ken Niumatalolo should do. With the way you've been humming on your offense with Chris High and a quarterback that runs like a fullback, I think Navy should have went for this and tried to convert, as a touchdown here would ice the game. Instead, they elect to go for a field goal. It's Niumatalolo saying a quick prayer.
From 25 yards, Mooring's kick is easily good. Bennett Mooring celebrates his third made field goal of the year. And the faith that his coach placed in him and the kicking unit. This isn't exactly a 60-yard game winner, but for Bennett Mooring and the Navy midshipmen, it is cause to celebrate. 3 points on the board and a two-possession game. Unanswered prayer again. Obano will hold it. Mooring on the kickoff after Mooring's field goal puts Navy up by 10. Good kickoff. Two big plays from Mooring. Touchback. Now Arion Worthman and the Air Force offense. 4 straight scoring drives for the Falcons. Worthman has he throws downfield. Caught. Cleveland across the 50. Another big one for Cleveland and the Falcons. Shut down at the 15. The quick strike as Worthman was blown up as he let it fly to Ronald Cleveland.
What was so amazing, Worthman throws that in the face of pressure. Micah Thomas hits him exactly as he throws. He can't even step into it, so it sort of dies on him. But Cleveland comes back to the football, and it's Keystone Cops in the defensive backfield for Navy. There's that quick strike explosive offense you just mentioned, Carter.
Navy hasn't stopped the Falcons in the second half. First and goal, Worthman takes another pop, gets maybe half a yard. Sean Williams makes it second and goal.
Now keep in mind, Arion Worthman had 3 touchdown passes a week ago against New Mexico. Some of those were in the red zone. Navy has to be aware of the passing game that Worthman's been taking advantage of them all afternoon on.
On second and goal, straight ahead, pushing, waiting for the official signal. Touchdown, Air Force! McVay crosses the goal line, and with 4:09 to go, a PAT away from making it a 3-point game.
This was just a power to the right-hand side. Ryan Beveridge, the left guard, with a perfect name for an offensive lineman, pulls around, gets a nice seal block on the great double-team blocks on the play side. And Air Force about to bring it within 3.
Strabel's PAT to make it 41-38. As it should be between Air Force and Navy. 4:09 to go. Nothing determined yet. And Navy is built for a 4-minute offense with the lead in the fourth quarter to try and close the game away.
It's going to take the best defensive effort that the Falcons have had thus far in this game to get this ball back from a red-hot Navy offense.
Strabel's kickoff into the wind. 1st and 10. Abey wrestled down. Jack Floor makes the tackle that Air Force needed on 1st down.
And that was an excellent job by Floor, filling his gap, coming downhill. Watch Abey tries to break out right here and almost does it, except the waiting arms of Floor and a great tackle gets him to the ground.
You talked about Abey on 1st down, making it for 2nd and 5, and now you're in 2nd and 10 because of that terrific tackle by the senior, the leading tackler for the Falcons, Floor.
The exact start they needed on 1st down. That's one of 3 plays they had to win. Can they win 2nd down here?
Abey bobble on the handoff, delivered to Hyde, just barely. Hyde hangs on. It's 3rd down, but Navy nearly gave the Falcons a gift.
Was that Floor again that busted through the line of scrimmage on the exchange? No, it was number 90, Capra. And you saw the indecision with Abey. He didn't know whether to pull it or to give it. That was almost a costly turnover because of the great penetration by Micah Capra, the 6'2", 270-pound junior out of Texas.
Navy has not turned it over today. No turnovers in the 2nd half. 3rd and 9. Abey is going to keep it on 3rd and 9. Floor makes the stop on 3rd down. So Floor with a tackle on 1st down and 3rd down. 2:34. The first 3 and out since the opening possession. And it comes at exactly the right time. So Navy unable to get the critical 1st down and run the clock. White gets it away. Cleveland is back. Grabs it at the 33. Cleveland makes the first man miss. Cleveland steps out of bounds at the 42. 2:28. 3-point game. 2 timeouts. Good field possession. And Worthman and the Falcons offense has been humming.
Well, early on, he did a nice job of being able to find receiver Bennett, and the pass game was humming for him. But it's the tough physical running, particularly in the red zone today, that has really been on point for Arion Worthman. Made some good decisions and really did a nice job recovering after putting the football on the ground twice early on in the game. He didn't fold. He didn't wilt. We sat up here and thought maybe we would see Nate Romine, but old number 2 has been there and been at his best when his team needs it. But this is the critical drive of this ball game and could change the course of Air Force season right here.
5 straight scoring drives. Navy hasn't stopped Air Force yet in the 2nd half. With 2:28, Worthman, protection this time, complete over the middle. Out of bounds. Bennett makes another grab to the 49-yard line in a play that used only 6 seconds.
And we've seen them a couple times hit that shallow cross with the receiver coming from the right to left, as we saw there. That's an indication of Arion Worthman going through his read progressions. He didn't see what he liked over the top, so he came backside for a nice pickup on 1st down.
Over 2 minutes, clock rolls, even though he got out of bounds. So now it's Worthman under center. 2nd and 4. Dropping. Worthman protected again. Caught again. Bennett again. Touchdown again. Air Force. The Falcons grab the lead with 1:53 to go in the 4th. A 51-yard touchdown strike. Worthman to Bennett, silencing the crowd here in Annapolis.
We've seen a couple different times as Navy blocked the blitz. There was nobody over the top. As a safety, you have to be deeper than the deepest. Williams and Ryan weren't. And they got torched for another touchdown. The 2nd of the day for Marcus Bennett. Maybe the biggest of the season, Carter.
Strabel's PAT is good.
So you're going to see the safeties drop out, which is what they're supposed to do, but they get too far wide outside the hash marks, and Cleveland's able just to get in them on the skinny post and just bad angles, and he just uses that speed to run past the back end of Navy. They had to know and had to be aware of how Worthman can hit teams with his arms, and he's looking at that right arm, mainlining some magic through the air to put Air Force up by 4 here in the 4th quarter.
Navy down by 4, needing a touchdown. 2 timeouts. The dangerous Malcolm Perry is back. Strabel's kickoff. Harry lets it bounce, and it goes into the end zone. They'll get it at the 25-yard line. Abey on the roll. Abey hits, he throws. Leaves it for Perry, and it's just long from Malcolm Perry. He was behind the defense.
There was some late pressure there by Grant Ross and a couple others that get to the quarterback right as he's throwing the football. Abey not able to step into his throw. Great play call defensively that time by Steve Russ, because Malcolm Perry was wide open. Had that ball been thrown on target, that could have been a touchdown. Now they're behind the chains, though. How do they make this up?
Late toss. It's Bonner on the edge. Bonner looking for a block. He's out of bounds at the 30 with 1:40 to go. Abey tossed it at the last second to Bonner.
And this threw the timing off a little bit. He had to stop to get the ball. And what that allows is the pursuit for Air Force to come. It's a nice pickup, but it's third and medium. Remember, we saw this Air Force team run out of time against San Diego State. They weren't built for the comeback. Let's see if they can return that favor to the Naval Academy, who's been outstanding all day long on the offensive side of the ball.
On 3rd and 5, Abey toss again. Bonner again on the edge, and he is ridden out of bounds by Ross, forcing 4th down with 1:34.
It's not even whether you go for it. That's a given this situation. But with the distance here, you have to give the ball to Chris High or keep it in your quarterback hands. Zach Abey, they're your strongest, most physical runners. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it does have to be effective. And I think the best chance for that to happen, Carter, is running between the tackles here.
4th and 3. Abey fakes the toss to Perry. On the roll. Toss. Caught. 1st down, Navy. Cologne holds it in to keep the midshipmen alive with 1:28.
What a gutsy play call by offensive coordinator Ivan Jasper, putting the ball in his playmaker's hands, trusting his quarterback Zach Abey to throw the football, and he does so on a dime to keep the drive alive.
Abey out of the shotgun. Toss. Bonner inside the 40 to the 30-yard line. The captain in the comeback game now trying to lead the midshipmen on a comeback drive.
And because of that explosive play with 1:13, the clock stops on a 1st down. That's really helpful with that last 3rd, 4th down conversion through the air, because it takes part of the clock out of this element here.
Abey dives 26 yards away from an epic close to what has already been an epic game between the Falcons and the midshipmen.
The Navy has to score a touchdown here. They're down by 4. A field goal doesn't do it. So if you're Air Force, you can't give up any big plays here. You got to make Navy earn.
Abey to toss on 2nd down. Look into the end zone again. Incomplete. Just long again, intended for Perry. And it's Coppola who applies the pressure. Those of you tuning in for SMU Houston, you'll be able to find that online at cbssports.com/live as soon as it kicks off. And of course, we'll get you out there immediately after the conclusion of this game.
Another 3rd medium situation. Air Force has made a living being aggressive, getting after the quarterback. Let's see what defensive coordinator Steve Russ dials up here. Expect pressure.
On 3rd and 6, handoff high. Breaking tackles inside the 20. Move the chains, 31 seconds. Navy still with 2 timeouts.
This is why I thought they would have done that on 4th down, because they're so good at it.
Abey spikes it, 25 seconds. So they spike it and still have 2 timeouts in your hip pocket. So, I mean, at this point, from the 16, you have plenty of chances.
You got plenty of chances, but what you don't have is plenty of time. So that extra timeout is critical. You probably wouldn't have seen another pass-oriented offense make that call there, but because of the running nature of this offense, you need as many timeouts as you can get with 25 seconds. because you're 16 yards away from going 5-0 and being in the driver's seat of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
Abey to throw on second down to the end zone. Incomplete. Cologne, 2 hands on it. Couldn't haul it in. Bullard in coverage.
He had 2 receivers open on this play. Beautifully thrown ball. You have to be able to catch that if you're Cologne, but he also had Tyler Carmona on the corner route wide open. That's an easier throw to his left, and Carmona knows it.
21 seconds. On 3rd and 10. Abey wants to throw again. It's out again. Touchdown Navy. It's Carmona who holds it in. And the midshipmen have come back after the Air Force come back. Abey leads a 75-yard touchdown drive. Carmona holds it in. A play after Abey missed the open Carmona in the end zone. He goes right back to the senior from Davie, Florida.
Carmona's been so big in so many games this year for Navy. Just soft coverage that time by Marquise Griffin of Air Force. Lets the big receiving threat inside of him.
Bennett Morris PAT to make it a field goal game with 15 seconds. And now the Falcons hope for a miracle. Loring's kickoff. McVay lets it hit. Worthman bobbles it. Valuable seconds ticking away. Worthman downfield, and it is incomplete with 7 seconds. And now it would be a major miracle for the Falcons to get out of here after they have fought their way back.
The Navy is 1 play away from an epic win.
Worthman, he's going to run it. On second down, looking for someone to toss it to. Worthman hit, loose football, it's still alive. Still alive. This is Cleveland back at the 25-yard line. Cleveland across the 30. He's going to lateral it back. Another lateral. Air Force trying to extend it as long as they can with zeros on the clock. Bennett tosses back. Sanders is tackled, and Navy wins a classic. 48-45. All the emotions flow for the midshipmen. As it should be, a fight to the finish between the Air Force Falcons and the Navy midshipmen. But the 75-yard touchdown drive led by Zach Abey, one that will live in the annals of Air Force versus Navy. The game winner, Navy is 5-0. Ginny Dell's in the celebration.
Coach, you're now 5-0. That was an epic win against Air Force. Can you tell me the emotions behind that victory?
Proud of our kids. Got some tough, great kids. Give Air Force credit too. They battled. But this day's a win. Jaron Jasper's here. Even without the win, whatever happened didn't matter. Jaron Jasper's here.
Thank you so much, Coach. Congratulations.
It has been our honor to bring you this football game today. Our producer, Carlo Generini, director, Matt Plundo, Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell, I'm Carter Blackburn. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Navy is 5-0 after the break on the Dave Ryan and Company, SMU Houston.